Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and today guys we're going to be talking a little bit around XRP, what's been going on in the space around Ripple, the SEC, XRP, and of course the price action, see what's going on there. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, the link is in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there, so why not go ahead and check that out. And if you are looking for a little bit more from the crypto space, why not check out the Patreon services as well. We cover a lot more for our Patreon members via the Discord server, everything from AMAs twice weekly through to project reviews, trading, and a whole host of additional benefits as well. So why not go ahead and check those out if they sound of interest to you. Okay, let's make a start. Let's jump right down into this and start talking about what's going on around the space with the Ripple and the SEC, and of course involving XRP. So let's go ahead and jump on down into this first one. Okay, so Elon Musk shows support for Ripple and 𝗕𝗪𝗀𝗪𝗀. We will be on the right side of history. Okay, and this kind of comes back to the Hinman emails, of course, right? So let's kind of get into this, right? So during the ongoing court battle with the US Securities and Exchange Commission, blockchain payments firm Ripple scored another victory, right? We spoke about this the other day. This is basically that the Ripple Council have confirmed that they've got their hands on the emails for the Hinman speech. Okay, and basically just to quote it here, I won't read the entire article, but just to quote here, over 18 months and 6 court orders later, we finally have the Hinman documents, internal SEC emails and drafts of his infamous 2018 speech. While they remain confidential for now at the SEC's insistence, I can say that it was well worth the fight to get them. So we can speculate as to what on earth is in there that makes it so damning for the SEC, and what was worth the fight. Because I think there's only a couple of options that are really left for the SEC, and we'll get into those because actually one of them is mentioned inside this article, which I find quite interesting. But essentially, I think this is going to result in settlement. The SEC cannot afford the loss because they really do want to kind of govern through force with the crypto space, right? A bit of a money grab, delay tactics or whatever, right? Whoever pays the most or greases the palms of the right individual essentially seems to be the one who can do what they want. So we want to be a little bit cautious, but I do think that it will end in settlement. That's kind of what we said since 2020, and the SEC haven't exactly done a very good job at kind of wanting to win this case, and we talk about that a lot as well. And that's actually something also that is mentioned in here, because 𝗕𝗪𝗀𝗪𝗀𝗪 goes out and says that the SEC wants you to think that it cares about disclosure, transparency, and clarity, but believe them. Don't believe them. When the truth eventually comes out, the shamefulness of their behavior here will shock you. And, I think that kind of comes down to it. It will potentially shock us. I think some of us will be also just not surprised, right, by the kind of the shit that kind of goes on behind closed doors. And essentially it does feel like they haven't done a very good job. They've done a very poor job, in fact, of trying to get their lawsuit in order, and the ducks all lined up for Ripple. And, the amount of blunders that they've made on this 2-year journey so far is just astounding. So yeah, it is one of those. I don't think I would be surprised by what is in there. We all think about what the worst could possibly be, and it kind of puts us in that kind of category of, well, we kind of have an idea that they don't care about disclosure, they don't care about transparency, and they don't care about clarity. But above and beyond all of those things, they do not care for the retail investor. This lawsuit shows that, and with billions of dollars worth of damage done to retail investors because they wanted to do this lawsuit. So they couldn't have possibly have cared about their mission statement, caring for a retail investor, if they did a lawsuit of this kind of degree, and one that makes very little sense as well. But moving on, to Elon Musk, right? Because coming to the Ripple CEO's support was the world's richest man, Elon Musk, showing his support for XRP and the criticism of the SEC in 2 words. Musk's responded with, no way. A slightly bit of sarcastic kind of twist from him. But as we know, Elon Musk has a history with the SEC. The securities regulator attacked him in the past for his tweets and various other things. And besides, it's also looking at Musk's recent Twitter deal, as well as a potential reason for Elon Musk not to be exactly on the SEC side, shall we say. So, the Elon Musk's legal team actually called the SEC a government-imposed muzzle as well, which was also quite an interesting kind of thing to think about. So, yeah, it's interesting that Elon Musk has come and, basically, I say supporting Ripple in this case. I don't think that's necessarily a clear-cut kind of level of support, but I do think it comes as, it doesn't come as a surprise that the SEC are acting the way that they are, right, essentially. And I think that's really what Elon Musk is saying here. And essentially, Elon Musk in himself, he has issues with the SEC, and that's going to be an ongoing thing as well. So it is what it is, and it's going to be an interesting one to kind of see how things unfold, specifically with those emails, and looking forward to kind of getting our eyes on what is contained, because that's going to have a profound effect on the price action, as we say. So I wanted to kind of start things off just by talking a little bit around that as a bit of a buzz in the space for for XRP, right? Because we've seen Elon Musk tweeting about it, or was tweeting 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗡𝗪𝗧, and a lot of people get excited about that kind of stuff, but I don't think it's too much to get excited about, which then brings me on to the next piece, right, which is all about price action. So if we come into the desktop here and we actually start talking about the price action of XRP, we can actually start to think about, whether or not we can be excited about potential moves to the upside. Although we have this huge big victory with these Hinman emails, the price action doesn't reflect it. And this is because pretty much the market is just speculative, right? Actual fundamentals doesn't really matter too much. And although we have some positive news with the Hinman emails, I think a lot of that was potentially priced in, and actually now we're not seeing too much price action to the upside. Understand that this is very, very speculative investment. XRP is probably one of the most speculative types of investment out there. So it's one of those. So just be very, very cautious. Now, from an Elliott wave theory structural point, this is basically tracking the psychology and behaviors of investors in XRP, right? So we can track their behaviors, and if they act a certain way, we expect a certain output from there. Okay, so if we see 3 waves, we expect something else to happen after. If we see 5 waves, we expect something to happen after 5 waves. Okay, so why do I talk about these things? Well, I'm talking about these things because we have come down into our typical area. The last time that we were talking about XRP in a video like this, we were saying they were coming down towards 41.14 and 43.72. You can see that we wicked down right in here, and we came down to a low of 42.24, okay, and then we've come back out of our yellow box area here. Okay, so our expectations were to complete down here. I was actually saying the higher end of this scale, but we came down a little bit deeper with a wick, which is pretty common across most cryptocurrencies. We weren't doing anything unusual at that point. And then, of course, we're starting to move to the upside. Now, when we start talking about the Fibonacci relationships and the wave structures within Elliott wave, we can start to talk about whether or not this is actually anything positive here or not. Now, for the most part, this does not look overly positive, and we have not come close to the 1.618. So this here is just 3 waves going up, not 5 waves, and 5 waves are trends. So this 3-wave corrective structure is just that, short-term movement. Now, with that being said, we can also see there's a small move happening here, okay, just a tiny one. So this could actually just be a bit of a reset and means that we can then move back up. And now the next move could be 3, or the next move could be 5. Okay, and it would be in the upward direction, right? So we'd be looking at something like this. Now, this video is being pre-recorded, so those are the 2 kind of things that I'll be looking at if we have finished this little structure here. Okay, it's either 3 up, 3 down, 5 up, or 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, right? Those are kind of the 2 options that you kind of have within those structures. So by tracking this, this is how you kind of know what to expect next. Now, if I bring the stochastic RSIs into play, we can acknowledge that we're oversold on this hourly chart, meaning that we're probably going to be moving up next, right? And at the end of 3 waves, we go up in the next section. So we're oversold on the 1-hour time frame. The 4-hour is not overbought or oversold, but the 8-hour is in fact overbought. The daily is oversold, the weekly is overbought, and the monthly is oversold. So we're very colorful in our stochastic RSI here. This means that we're going to get a lot of volatility across different time frames. Let's come into the 4 hour. Here you can see that we're overbought and we're coming down. This means that expect a small blip to the upside, like a tiny little movement. So when I drew that out, let's come back into the hourly here, and I'm saying we've gone 3 up and we've gone 3 down. The next move is either 3 up or 3 down, right? We're going like this, or we are going up in 5. Now, when I drew those, that was not to scale, okay? And the reasoning behind this is we've got a couple of options here. This here could just be an A wave. Okay, so we come down in 1. We've got to go up into a B wave. That could basically take our hourly stochastic RSI to overbought. And then we come back down into this. This will allow a 4-hour chart to become oversold, for example. Okay, so we have to think about these multiple time frames and how one time frame affects the other. Now, the bigger the time frame, the more impactful it's going to have on the price action. Okay, so for example, that weekly being overbought means that there's a macro move to the downside that is going to have to occur. Okay, we might not like to hear it, but that essentially is what we're looking for, whether that's just testing the recent lows or coming down into new lower lows. Okay, that has to come down. And the last time that we were up in this area, we were up here. Okay, and we saw the fallout of this by coming down here. We are now back up in this area here, and the question is, how low are we going to fall in order to correct that weekly stochastic RSI? Okay, so we should be very blissfully aware of these things. You can't just continuously move up in straight lines without some kind of consequence to it. Now, the other thing that we want to kind of consider here is that the time before that, we moved to this area here. So it's kind of okay. It's been pretty choppy. It's not been trending down or anything like that. There's not bigger kind of problems to worry about in that kind of space. But essentially, you know, we are looking for more to the downside at the macro level. So it's important that we do not ignore this. Now, the monthly is actually in a really strong position. It's oversold, right? So when we have this oversold monthly position, it means that you can expect some volatility on the weekly, but essentially we're getting close to a reversal point where the thing can obviously pop to the upside. Okay, so the monthly is looking very, very strong, but it just isn't ready until the weekly, daily is also aligned to what our monthly is saying. Not so much the daily, but definitely the weekly. The weekly and the monthly, they need to be in consensus. They need to be the same if we want to see big movements to the upside. Now, of course, they can sometimes rally and sometimes be different, but if you want a proper moonshot to the upside, you really want those things to line up. Now, the daily is also in this oversold area, so we could expect some volatility there, but not until our 8 hours really corrected. So we're going to be looking for some volatility, right, across the hourly, 4-hour, 8-hour charts. In the short time frames, that's kind of what we're going to be looking for. So a small move to the upside today, and then probably more of a move to the downside slightly longer term. Now, we want to consider that this here, this little ABC structure, this 3-wave structure taking us into this yellow box, could just be an A wave. All of this could be deemed a start of a much bigger corrective structure, specifically with that 8-hour chart. If we start thinking about how those things layer up, we could be looking at this as some kind of move that could bring us right the way down. So a little bit of caution in places, but for the most part, I'm expecting some volatility. I'm not expecting any kind of big moves to the upside to happen. I'm expecting more of a break to the downside, at least on the smaller time frame. The daily is looking really good, and a good potential move to the upside should happen, but really trying to time that is going to be quite difficult. We want to first of all see that 8-hour and the daily chart start to actually come together, and rather than working against each other, work for one common goal. So I think essentially we just need to be biding our time, looking for the perfect entries, and looking for that longer shot move with the daily going up to from oversold to overbought. And that's really where the bigger kind of moves in this space are likely to be. But guys, I'm going to leave this video right there. If you found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.